Hey guys, it's me, Andres. Why do I have my earbuds on, my coat on? Well, that's because I was gonna leave this place, and then I realized I had to film this video, and it's 3 a.m. in the morning. Hashtag relatable, hashtag help me. Anyways, I saw Parade with Ben Platt yesterday. It was stunning, it was spectacular. I honestly think this is a huge contender for Best Musical Revival winner. I don't think Into the Woods will win because it's not on Broadway anymore. I still have to see Sweeney Todd, and there is Camelot too. And I am seeing Sweeney Todd next month, so we'll see what happens there. But Parade's a pretty big contender. Like, this show was so well done. Whenever I hear Ben Platt singing live, it's an honor. You know, I listened to the album, it was great, but there were some songs I was like, eh. But when Ben Platt sings them, it elevates the material to another level. He truly has the voice of an angel, and I've been lucky to see him in Dear Evan Hansen, and seeing him live again, it makes any show he's in 10 times better, and seeing him live is truly something spectacular, and it brought back all the memories of seeing Dear Evan Hansen, and it was just such an honor. And again, when you hear his voice and his presence, it makes you, like, come alive. It makes you go from this to this, you know. It's just, it's unexplainable. You just have to go and see it. I thought the set design was really simple yet effective. The back wall had projections, and they had images of the actual people, which I thought was very clever that they introduced them with, you know, the actual photo of the real person and the title and the name. I think most shows should do that. I also loved is that they have an elevated platform, and I was sitting in the mezzanine, so because of that, I, you know, could see all the action. No, even though there were people in front of me, they weren't blocking me. So I wish shows did that more, but I know that for orchestra people, since it's so high, it's harder to see. I thought it was also cool that they had dirt underneath the main set. That was pretty cool as well. And it kind of reminded me of Hadestown when they first came out, and they all just silent, just sitting down, which is seeming to become more of a trend. You know, it's a very serious show. Everyone's sitting down, and it's like, what's happening? But yeah, that was great. I think Ben Platt will win Best Leading Actor. Honestly, this might be 2017 yet again. Like, I have to see Groban, but like, this could happen again, and I kind of wanted to because he was great. But, you know, Ben doesn't actually have a lot of stage time. You know, he kind of sits there and looks sad, you know. And Sweeney is a much more involved part. And the Tony committee might be more sympathetic to Groban. So, we'll see, but, like, man, like, Ben might take the Tony again. He's definitely getting nominated. And the guy that played Jim Connolly should also get nominated. And, I think a lot of the cast will get nominated. This is definitely going to get a lot of nominations, and I think we'll win. You know, I think Into the Woods, if it was still on Broadway, I think would defeat Parade, but I think this will definitely be a Parade, Sweeney, Camelot mix. I don't think there's going to be one musical revival that will dominate, because we're hearing mixed things about Sweeney Todd, and we haven't heard about Camelot yet, so we'll see. But the Best Musical Revival race is becoming very interesting, and I think it will be definitely the most intense and close race that we've seen in years. We're just going to go over the musical numbers. So, The Old Red Hills of Home, beautiful number, but very unsettling because, you know, Confederate flags. How Can I Call This Home? Ben Platt killed this number. Honestly, I thought this was better than It's Not Over Yet. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it was the first time he was singing, but it was great. The Picture Show, great bop, love the song. Although the context of it is pretty creepy, and I didn't really understand it until I listened to a podcast. And if you haven't, you know, listened to it or haven't seen the show, I won't spoil it for you. But, yeah. And then we had, Big News, which I hated the news reporter. I mean, it's a good job, you know, that they made me hate this character, but I really disliked him. He definitely was, like, a very, like, Alex Jones, you know, Fox News, Tucker Carlson type person that kind of feeds off people's fear for profit. You Don't Know This Man was pretty decent. The Factory Girls, My Child Will Forgive Me, that's what he said. That last chunk of Act 1, which I thought would drag, was just so stunning and unsettling, and amazing acting and choreography and lighting, and Ben Platt pretending to be Leo, who they think Leo Frank is, was so unsettling to see, yet so impactful. And that's what he said. Just love that number so much, even though the context of it is so, you know, bad. Leo's statement was such a beautiful number. And honestly, the pacing of the first act went by so quickly, and I was afraid that maybe it would be sluggish, but it was so well paced, and it went from point A to point B to point C to point B, like to point D, just super well. And it was interesting that they actually had kids in the show. I'm assuming they were kids, and it was a pretty big cast, to be fair. There is one moment when at the beginning of the show the lights like flash on and it kind of blinds you, so just be prepared for that if you're in the mezzanine. Like, there was a lot more singing in it than I thought. You know, the book is probably lesser than the musical numbers, and I don't mean the book is not as good as the musical numbers, because I think that, you know, like the Book of Mormon, you know, which has a lot of singing, but then the book scenes are not as much as the musical numbers, but there is so much substance and thematic themes and maturity and depth and sophistication in the writing that it makes up for that. And while you don't feel as connected with, not as connected with, but you don't get as much development with some characters as you might like, what they're saying and what they're doing is so deep and impactful that you get it on that level, unlike something like Little Shop of Horrors or Into the Woods, where you really feel like you know the characters and you know the world. So this was a different way of doing it, but I was still fine with it. A Rumblin' and a Rollin', banger of a song, and so profound, so deep, talking about how, you know, people wouldn't bat an eye if a black girl died, but because, you know, a white girl died, they are. I mean, so relevant, and I love that they, you know, the black slaves in Parade aren't very relevant to the plot, but they were a significant part of history, and it is good that they acknowledged that part of history and didn't shy away from that, and showed that there wasn't this wasn't the only injustice, and they're not taking away from Leo's tragedy, but they're also saying, hey, like, this is also happening to us at an even higher level, and y'all just aren't recognizing it. So I just thought it was some amazing truth-telling and just really hardcore. Loved it. The party stuff, like, dragged, and I honestly started to get a little sleepy with that, but then it all came alive with This Is Not Over Yet, which blew down the house. And then we have the final couple numbers, and then we have Leo's Hanging, which was super sad, and Shema, I think I'm pronouncing that right, it was so beautiful. And then we had the finale, and then we had a final sequence where we had what appeared to be a modern couple sitting and having a beer, which in the beginning of the show, you had the same couple, but they were, you know, clearly in the 1900s. So I don't really know what that was supposed to mean, because at the end they have a projection that says the trial is still ongoing of whether Leo was innocent or not, or guilty, and I don't know if they were kind of showing that life goes on and there are still going to be young people there. Like, I don't know. So leave your thoughts in the comments down below, like, what you interpreted the final scene to be, because I'm not sure, like, what it was. Like, I have my ideas of what it could be, but, like, it doesn't make entire sense to me. But yeah, but anyways, that is my thoughts on this musical revival. It's a solid 9 out of 10. Amazing revival. Go see it. I'm blown away, truly, and it's not as depressing as I thought, as people said it was, but this is definitely the kind of show we need on Broadway, and sadly, it is just as relevant as it was back then in 1998, and back when Leo Frank was alive. So like, subscribe, and comment, and peace.